This is an interesting thought experiment, a visualization of our place in time. That fourth dimension, that tricky one that's a little confusing to visualize sometimes. Throughout history, cultures, people, civilizations have come up with myriad ways to describe time, somebody's lifespan, the being of being present. One of the most common ones is that of a loom, of weaving the threads of life and fates. The fates themselves were a trio of women, depending on the age and the culture, and whether it's art or poetry. They're depicted as beautiful or crones. Sometimes they weave, sometimes they spin, measure, and cut a thread. Lots of analogies and interesting depictions. I think with a modern understanding of time as a dimension, it's still applicable, and I think a lot of the comparisons are pretty helpful. I was thinking the other day of a ring, cloth flowing through it, drawn into the center of that ring, and then back out again. And that kind of led me back to this thought of a loom. So if you're not familiar with weaving, a loom has two directions of thread, up and down and side to side. They're called the warp and the weft. The warp are the threads that run up and down. And in our analogy here, we can think of that as all of the potential for the future, before it's woven into below it. So if you think of these strings coming down as all of the potential of the future, what goes side to side is called the weft. So you have the warp and the weft. The weft is attached to a device called a shuttle, which is this great little device that holds a spool of thread that passes in between the lines of the warp as the weaving gets more and more complete. Now, in this analogy, typically the person wielding the shuttle or doing the weaving, working at the loom, is one of these fates, and it becomes this big discussion about predestination and do we have free will and agency in existence. Let's presuppose that we do here. So we're going to say that I am wielding my own shuttle. You are wielding your own shuttle at the loom of your own existence. So table stakes right there. We control our own shuttle. We don't always get to choose what threads come down for the warp. That is often out of our control. So we don't always get to choose the warp, the threads that come down for us to have to make our decisions from. For example, we're already on Earth. We're already hurtling through space in whatever direction it is we're hurtling. I already have certain obligations in my schedule that I need to do tomorrow and a year from now. I have a job, that sort of thing. So we don't necessarily get to choose the threads that are up at the top of the loom, but we do get to choose in some measure, and this is called our agency, what we do with the shuttle, what we do with the weft. And I want you to think of it this way, that if we're looking at this as a time analogy, the shuttle is now. The shuttle isn't my life, it's not some other thing. The shuttle is a moment in time. The shuttle is right now. The weft, the thread, is the actual act of my existing, my impact on reality. The shuttle and the thread gets to choose as I, wielding it, the person in control driving this human form, I get to choose in some agency which threads I get to pick up and weave amongst. And that is the expression of the agency here. So you cannot weave the threads that are higher on the loom. The analogy is that, well, you have to weave at that level that you're at right now because you took the threads down to make a tight weave. And you can't, anytime you even try to put that shuttle higher and wrap around higher threads, you end up tamping it down. I don't know what that part of the loom is called, but there's a part that slides down and tamps the thread down to the current level of the weave. That's kind of emblematic of living in the future and trying to solve tomorrow's problems today. No matter what, that always gets tamped down into this present moment, because you know what we can't do? Something in the future. I can't do anything in the future. I can only act here in the now. I can plan to act and react for things in the future when they become the now, but nothing is done from my point of view as the now of the shuttle and the wielder of the shuttle until it hits that moment, until it really is at that point of the weave, which is both frustrating because it's a limitation and freeing because I don't have to worry about that. I can still make plans. I know what I'm going to try to weave into this pattern, but I can't actually do it until it's time to do it. If you wanted to make a swirl or a diamond pattern, you can't do that part until you get to that part in the weave. And here's the thing, it's not a limitation, it's accepting reality. This is where the analogy gets put on the shelf and you apply it to your real life. You looking through your eyes right now at this video screen, think of it that way. Right now, I can't solve tomorrow's problems. I've got a plan for tomorrow's problems, and I think it's a good plan. It's the best I can do in the circumstance with the resources at my hand. But I cannot solve that problem until it's here to be able to be solved. That goes for opportunities as well, not just problems. I can't invest in something until it becomes an IPO. I can't propose until I've got a relation, so that all that sort of stuff, I can't do it if it's in the future, which is something that we have a lot of trouble with in Western society because we have so many obligations, stressors, expectations, plans, schemes, plots, insurance, appointments, that we live a lot in the future, and we also live a lot in the past. Now let's talk about the past for a quick second. So if we're continuing this analogy of the loom, take that off the shelf, bringing it back now. So everything that's woven is down there. It's set. It's the blanket or the scarf or whatever you're making. It's set. We cannot change it because it's already woven together. It's interwoven. The shuttle can no longer fit down between the little tamped together, tight, drawn threads of the weave. It's not what it's for. The shuttle stays in that present moment because that's the present moment. Our agency only works in that area. So this what is very simple analogy and mythology of the fates and other weaving and thread and sewing comparisons to a lifespan is actually a pretty accurate comparison in view of kind of more modern thinking with a little bit more physics involved with the fourth dimension. So not only it's this lifespan, but actually really quite succinctly, it tells us about our place and our perspective. We're involved in all of this, but we only have agency right here, right now. The other thing about those threads in the future, the higher up, all of the warp that is above the shuttle, is that for us, they're utterly imaginary. They do not exist for us in that moment until they pass through the shuttle. And like I mentioned before with my earlier thought of the ring, the thought of a whole cloth being drawn through a ring, everything in the future is a mass of potential, because what we do in the present, our present, infers the future. It informs it. What's happening right now, this present moment, has been informed by what happened just before it. Right now is the momentum of what's done in the previous now that's now in the past. Does that make sense? If you throw a ball, the now of the ball having left your hand can't exist until the now of letting go of the ball moves spatially, because 4 dimensions, time is a spatial dimension, until the hand moves into the past physically in that spatial dimension. And the ball, of course, moves into the past, but it still persists in the present. The hand is still there in the present, the ball is still there in the present, but now there's an XYZ difference between them that is a result of the momentum and inertia of the force throwing the ball this way, so the ball goes to the right, and that's what that means is that this present moment can't be here until the momentum of the past brings it to this moment. Our expectations and our experience and our observation is a result of everything that's come before. And when I say everything, I mean literally everything since the beginning of time, since the beginning of the fourth dimension, which is also the beginning, likely, of the XYZ, the 3 dimensions. So all 4 dimensions conspired to create this moment right now for you and for me when I'm recording this. Everything in the future, for us, doesn't exist. If you can zoom out to an omniscient and omnipresent and interested perspective, and you can look at this whole 4th dimension all at once, including the three dimensions, quote unquote, below it. If you could zoom out to this whole 4th dimension, maybe it does look like that whole blanket, that whole shawl or scarf, whatever it is, and you can see the whole thing right now. The other tricky part for us, for humans in our limited experience, is that since we are just that shuttle, our experience right now, our perception of that shuttle, we don't ever get to see the whole weave. We know what we've woven, we know it's in the past, but we can't see it. We can remember it, and we can see records of it, photographs, fossil records, light from distant galaxies. But we can't actually see it. What we're seeing is a memory of the past, and the memory is in the present moment. Alan Watts speaks about that quite a lot in some of his earlier talks, later talks too. He talks about it all the time. And that's a beautiful thing. We're only responsible for right here, right now. And our memories, well, here's why some people argue. Because they remember things differently. You put this thread in the weave down here. No, I didn't. It was over here. It was red. No, it was blue. And you can't look at it to check. You have to compare notes. So it helps to stay in the moment. It helps to understand that the threads of the warp are coming, but they don't exist yet. Not for me, not for you, because we can't zoom out that far. So that responsibility is taken from us because we don't have agency in it. When I say I'm doing the best I can, that's something to be proud of. It's usually said with capitulation. I'm doing the best I can. Well, if you're doing the best you can, that's amazing. Keep trying. Keep doing your best. It's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I'm not. But with the agency I have to move that shuttle in that weave, or to move that ring around in space and have that thread and cloth go through it, whatever your analogy is, don't forget to put that analogy on the shelf and live it. This moment here is my only moment. Your moment right now, the you that you are as you're watching this video, is your only moment forever. This moment of you is your perception moving through time. But this now is the only now you have. So be grateful for that, I think. I think that's the takeaway. This is the one time we have. Everything else is imagination or memory. So enjoy this moment, which usually means turning off YouTube and going and doing something way more interesting. But that's up to you, because you wield your shuttle. Here's a bonus thought that I think is really fun. It has a lot of opportunity. I had mentioned a ring, and in the first time that I thought of the ring in this analogy, I just thought of a simple ring of gold, like almost a wedding band sort of thing. This could be absolutely anything. This is your chance, if you like that analogy, that visualization of time and perception and presence as a ring in space or water or pudding. Who knows? It's your analogy. I'm not going to judge. It can be anything you want. It can be the eye of a needle. It can be carved wood. It could be in Judeo-Christian thinking. You might like to think of a halo. I love the idea of a halo with the threads coming down into it and kind of going right into your head, and that's a whole experience. Zen Buddhist might appreciate thinking of the enso. The enso is another beautiful circular design with the sumi-e ink that speaks a lot about chaos, acceptance, the life, organic nature of being. I think it's great to have the opportunity to personalize that. You could think of it as the lens of a camera. You could think of it as a picture frame. Any number of ways. What comes to mind if you think of something really personal that could be your shuttle or your ring of agency in the now? Leave a comment, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. But more importantly, I'd love to hear what you think about that analogy. How does it work for you?